morning. How the heck are ya? What's up, Maddie? What's up? Got myself an early start today. I've already had a cup of coffee. Getting ready to have number 2. While we take a look at some Forex pairs. First real look of the week for me. I didn't do really anything yesterday. Trades that I'm in are all trades, swing trades that I started last week. So this will be interesting to take a look and see what's happening. So let's start over here with dollar yen. Look at the 1 hour chart. Okay, well, we've got our peak formation, new peak formation, that is. So all this stuff over here can go the way of the dodo. Get rid of that. Okay. So last peak to peak swing, looks like it took 21 days. Since this peak, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 6 days in. So we could potentially be in for another long run to the high side on dollar yen. But I will draw your attention to this much larger pattern that I think is worth taking a look at. We'll go to the 4 hour for this. We will turn off these session lines because that's kind of annoying. There we go. Actually going to turn off the trader's reality indicator. So the reason I'm pointing this out is because on the 4 hour you can see what looks like a absolutely gargantuan head and shoulders formation. Oh, horrible day, it's tax day. Oh no. Oh, Maddie. Good luck with those, man. I did mine first thing when they came out in February. Well, good luck to you on that. Hopefully you don't owe. Or if you do owe, you owe a small amount. But do you see this right here? How this looks to me? This worries me a little bit for dollar yen. I mean, that is just a really nice looking head and shoulders. Curious where the yeah, I mean the price is leading the 50 obviously. I want to see what the day chart looks like in terms of the 50 EMA. I guess the encouraging thing is, on the daily chart, there's not a ton of unrecovered candles down here on the low side. So I think we're in decent shape for a sustained move up, actually. Because that would give them a chance to recover these and these up here. See, those, all the reds in this area have not seen profit yet. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this way over just to have it sit there as a reminder to us. And you would expect that at some point, you know, could take a very long time, but at some point those candles are going to see some recovery. Yeah, and this has not touched either of those zones. So I think if I had to make a guess at this point on dollar yen on the 1 hour, I would think that we're going to see another move to the upside. If you separate this into levels, you essentially have one here, even though it crossed twice. It's still in this zone, and then you would have two here, which I think it would be a safe bet to assume that without a new peak formation sort of sneaking up on us in the middle, we could easily be up for another move up to the M5 and a bounce. At that point, we may, there may be a peak formation, but honestly, with what we just pulled back and looked at, I wouldn't be shocked if we don't get a new peak W and another cycle up. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. That being said, I don't have anything on the line in dollar yen right now, so, take that for what it's worth. How about pound dollar? Yeah, you think that's level 1 as I do too. Yeah, because I think the to get from level 1 to level 2, it needs to move clearly out of the zone, and that didn't really get a chance to do that. So let's have a look at pound dollar and see what we see. Yeah, look at that. So we were playing off this peak W here. On this move, we thought we were going to consolidate and continue on to the upside, but after that consolidation, it dropped. I can get rid of that. So this would be a reset. Not really. I guess you could consider this a peak M, I suppose. Kind of a triple hump. The idea is the same. Then a really nice drop, retrace, if this is the peak. Problem is, you had this peak right here so close to it. I mean, this is kind of muddled for me. I don't really know what to think of it. Let me, I'm gonna do the same thing and just pull back a little bit farther on this one. First, look at the 4 hour. See if anything jumps out at us. Turn off the indicators. Let's clear the chart. Yeah, so peak to peak, it was here, this W, to this M. Right, which went from 21st of September, 25th of September when it broke out last year to the 24th of February. I mean, that is a long sustained rise right there. So how long have we been on the descent? Since 25 February till now, so that's a pretty long drop. But if you think of it in terms of levels, how many? I mean, we really only have the one level, right? Because look, we've peaked twice in this one range right here. Now this is on the 4 hours, so this is a bigger, this is looking for bigger trends. But look how hard this cap is right here. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times they've attempted this zone around 140, and 140 is pushing right back. So what do we think here? Now we have also tapped the low at around 136.6 a couple times, 3 times. These are, I mean, these look like the times they've tapped the high look manipulated to me. Look at that. High volume, 4 hour, huge pin to the top. High volume, both pins to the top. they're stopping volume on this candle right here, so this is clearly the zone they intended to work. Between this pin and this pin, that tells me they got a lot of liquidity they want to suck up in this area, which they did, and then they dropped, you know, to sort of a mini zone here. Came out of it, had a little bit of an M, 3 pins to the high on the 4 hour, drop again, but would not let it go any farther. Into the low, and then a push all the way up, and then stopped right here on this volume, high volume candle. Brought it back. Yeah, it's really hard to make a call here. I mean, if we want to use the 4 hour as our guide, then there's more to recover down here, right? I mean, if you just pull back and look at how many big greens do they need to recover from down here? Here's a huge one. There's one right here that hasn't been touched yet. There's one right here that hasn't been touched. What else? Got a big blue right here that has not seen profit. That's pretty much it. But those are three big zones that you would think are going to see profit at some point. So again, on this one, if I had to pick, I would pick that I think it's going to break to the low whenever it breaks out of this zone. Let's jump back down to the 1 hour. I'm going to remove this. So I don't want go away. Move this. Put our indicators back on. So all that being said, between yesterday's New York and market open, which was here, right? 30 to 2 May right there. We've already set 130 pip range. Let me turn some music back on. So yesterday essentially saw 130 pip move. That's fairly well beyond the ADR, which is 92 pips. And most of it came in this big swing to the upside. And if Monday is false move, then yeah, we would be looking for today's market to send us down. Maybe stay in the zone because we're so, you know, we had such an extended move yesterday. But my guess would be at some point today, we get a drop probably around the M1. Maybe we may bounce here again or somewhere near this low, but I'm guessing we finally push through it and we wind up somewhere in this range during the week. Maybe Wednesday we hit this location. I don't know. That's a guess. All right, that's pound dollar. Yeah, Zaps. You have to use some amount of leverage. I mean, you have to use a decent amount of leverage on Forex because of how small. You know, the pips you're talking about units where the individual, you know, unit size is 1/10,000th of a currency. All right, here's dollar CAD. These are all positions that I took up last week because I believed. I'll show you why. Again, we'll pull out a bigger time frame here. These are the zones I'm looking to get hit this week, potentially. But again, we look back and see where movement has, what movement have we been on? I mean, we've been on a descent for, look at this. I mean, this peak that we're still moving off of was a year ago. Right, it is a solid year of decline in dollar CAD. So what I'm hoping is that I've caught the actual bottom of this. Now the smaller cycle here has hit its second. I mean, we're on the 4 hour, so you know it didn't retrace all the way, but on the 1 hour it did. Right. So once we hit down here, I started looking for W's, and I think we may have it. I think it may be just kind of a longer sloping W like this. So we'll see. I'm going to keep watching this, but this is the swing trade that I've got that I anticipate holding for potentially a very long time, and just taking profits and re-entering on the way up. So, I mean, that's what I see in dollar CAD. We'll see what happens. How about Aussie dollar? Aussie dollar's been making moves lately, man. It's been a big one. Let's see. Yeah, see, we kind of have another triple peak type formation, kind of a weird wonky head and shoulders on the 1 hour. If you back it up a couple of weeks, put that in context, we've got a lot down here, a lot of reason to revisit this area, but at the same time you have an awful lot of reason to revisit this area up here. Turn the session breaks off again. We'll take a look on the 1 hour chart at what kind of candles we have that haven't seen any profit. There's going to be a few up here for sure in this range. Although you will notice that these don't show super high volume. Like, look at that. There's high volume on this one that slowed things down, dropped all the way here and returned. High volume here, but these two big candles are not high volume candles. This one has been recovered. It got recovered immediately, so I don't really want to count that. So really, these are the only, this up here and this one are the ones you would want to count that you think may see a recovery. So I'll just we'll mark this whole area. That's a potential return for profit. Now on the low side, what do we have? We're looking for greens that need to see a recovery. Because remember, under the market maker model, if you see a green candle, right, that means the retail trader is buying, and that in turn means the market maker is selling. So if he's selling here and we're buying, at some point, those sales are going to need to see a profit. So on the low side, we still could recover this area. That saw a recovery immediately, but the bottom half of this green didn't. Nor did the bottom part of this green candle. And that's pretty much it for the local area. So we'll just pull these out. These are some areas of interest for us. Okay. We have that one? Yep. All right. So, hard to make a decision here, right? The older areas that need to be hit are up here. The more recent ones are down here. The fact that this is such a drastic head and shoulders on the bottom here, I think if I had to say I favored anything right now, I would probably say that I favored a this consolidation essentially leading to a jump to grab this area, maybe even just for a really short time, a quick M, and then a drop back down on the way down, picking up all three of these levels, and then potentially moving on down to pick up some of the levels that are back here, you know. I guess that's what I would have to say. And that would, now look at this is interesting. I didn't see this coming, but if we turn off the indicator and we back out to the 4 hour, that would give us essentially if we get back up and tap this high, that would give us an M on the 4 hour, right? That would complete the cycle from this W down here. That would be a nice large cycle to the upside, followed by a nice large swing to the downside. So I'm going to keep my eye on that, actually, as a potential fairly large swing trade, because that would certainly fit. That would fit the model, right? You've had several levels here, moving up and down, and then we get a big peak. Yeah, so actually I'm going to make myself a note of that. Look for information on 4 hour, potentially long swing back to the downside, pick up zones of profit. Yep. Let's make that note right there. In the meantime, let's check some more coins. We did dollar CAD, we did Aussie dollar, we have not done euro dollar. Let's check euro dollar. All right, look, we have recovered this zone, so that's complete. Get rid of that. Still haven't recovered this one or this one. And then on the other side, look, this has been recovered, so I'm gonna get rid of these arrows. This side, I mean, it's been touched. So actually, I think I'm only gonna leave this top mark. And I'm actually gonna change it. I used to draw arrows. Now I'm kind of more in favor of just making these big long rectangles to show me zones of interest. So right there, pull this across. So this is still a zone they might want to hit before they change direction. Oh man, this is messy. Let's get rid of all of this stuff and the stuff in the middle here. Okay, get rid of that. So until this peaks out, which may have happened right here, you know, we'll find out in a minute. This could be the peak if this trend continues down, and then they'll just abandon this for now, I guess, because the closer profit points are here and here, and then of course these other ones down lower there. Here, this candle. I'm not going to worry about the tips right now. Yeah, so pretty clear that if, assuming this continues and breaks through this bottom level right here, then I think we should be in for a fairly extended move to the low side, because that would give us our peak here. Alright, we can get rid of the Maddie hypothesis. That played out like happily. Give you credit for that. And so it would be basically peak to peak would be this point to this point. So this is March 31st, April 1st to end of April. So a 1 month sustained move to the upside. A lot of places to come get profit on a long swing to the downside. So I'm going to keep my eye on that one as well for a potential swing. first thing we got to see though is we got to see it break through this zone that it's establishing here and here. That mirrors what we saw on the other side of the M. And that's a good sign. If we whip and whack up and down a few times here, that's fine. But the big move out, when we get into this zone, I think that will be a good sign that we may be headed all the way down to pick all these up. Yep. Obviously this would be your first level right here. But we could stay in this level for a while. That's the euro. All right, let's look at this. Check out pound franc, pound dollar. You want to call it? I mean pound Swiss. Get rid of our lady here. Hello, lady. Goodbye, lady. All right, where are we in the cycle? Okay, so we're on a really extended cycle. Like, because we've only really come back through the 50 once. I mean, in almost a month. So what the 4 hour looks like. All right, I'm gonna remember to save this so I don't have to keep turning these damn session breaks off. Okay, so what do we have in terms of peak to peak? Yeah, look at that. What a drop. All of it's been recovered by now, except for the move out of it. Head and shoulders from Mars right here. Okay, so I think what we'd have to say here, man, I think we would have to just basically consider this area history. Start our pattern here is what I think. That's how I'm going to frame it mentally myself anyway. I'm going to frame it from this as the peak W right here, this beautiful W. Sustained rise. Now, what else do we have to claim on the high side? Let's go to the day. I don't normally go this far out, but in this case, I kind of want to. Yeah, that's what I thought. So we're on a long drop, and this is the peak low right here for the entire. I mean, we're going back to 2007 for Christ's sake. This low, right here. So there is an awful lot to reclaim on the upside here. I mean, every indicator right now, computer or human, should be telling us, like, this looks like we should have a long move to the upside coming. Question is, does it spike the low one more time? I mean, do we effectively see this repeat over here? It wouldn't shock me. Like something crazy like this, and then a spike to this low being repeated over here. Could this be the first of a head and shoulders that brings us back here, spikes the low one more time before a long sustained rise out? I mean, we see mirrors like this all the time, so that's something to keep an eye on. I wish I hadn't identified that this chart was like a decade, like a 15-year low right here, because I would have loaded up on swing positions. Holy moly. But I'm going to keep an eye on that, because if something like this does play out, if we pin this low again on a daily chart, I will be taking some serious long positions on that. Alright, back to the 1 hour in the local area. We are in Trader's reality back on. So the local peak was here. Whoops. Double click. Got a little click happy there. I mean, let's just call this a head and shoulders, what it is. And then, like, this is one of those where the momentum is too strong for the retrace to even hit the 50. But I would certainly look at these areas right here as retraces. And then looks like we tried a couple of W's, failed. Finally clawed our way out here, but not before turning back down. And this is a lot. Look at all these look at these almost identical patterns playing out over and over right here. Look at that. This is just reeks of manipulation, does it not? I mean, my goodness, look at these areas. Look at this pattern, this pattern, this pattern, this pattern, right? Holy crap. And these two over here, they did the same thing. Look at that. Wow. I mean, there is so much liquidity being snapped up on all of these patterns that are just like quick push to the high, snap, turn around, come back. Over and over and over and over. Every one of these traps so much liquidity. So much. So they have picked up an absolute truckload of money in this area right here. Don't you agree? Question is, where do they want to take it? Where do they want to take that liquidity? A lot of recovery areas, a lot of recovery zones we expect down here. So I'm going to mark this spot right here as a real important line. If we drop below this, I'm going to start really anticipating some recovery of some of these greens. Here's a small zone here. A little bit here. A little bit here. Actually, a pretty good bit here. That whole area has not really seen profit. Another area here. Yeah, you know, as a matter of fact, we'll just continue this. This is all of this zone has not seen profit to right there. Call it right there. These are natural price movement, no vectors there. Look at that stopping volume. Anybody still struggling to identify stopping volume? Here you go. You'll never see a better stopping volume candle than this one right here. Right there. That blue candle right there. See how price had been dropping. Vector push to the bottom, pull back. Push to the bottom, pull back. Big push. This pin goes all the way to here, right here. We'll put the bottom of the circle right on it. And then snap back, price went nowhere. This is just the breaks. That is stopping volume to a T. Yeah. But anyway, we were looking for profit zones, right? I mean, there's, oh God, there's so many. There's so many. This would certainly be one right here. Well, actually not. Yeah, I don't think it matters if we include that pin, because that pin was stopping volume pin. I'm just going to leave it right there. So that's a zone. And this is just the 1 hour. You would think with this kind of charting we're doing right now that we'd be looking at a 4, but this is just a 1 hour chart. big blue right here, a big green and blue there, so I'm going to mark all of this as well. Down to here, roughly. And then look at that. So this goes to here, and then right back here we have more green. So this is this entire zone hasn't seen profit. And there's more back here. Some right there. Some back here. And matter of fact, we might as well just draw this whole thing down here. So we have a ton of places that there's profit waiting to be taken. You know, none of this is a guarantee, so don't take this as like, oh, they're definitely going to hit this. I mean, they are going to hit it at some point, but you know, they might not hit it for, who knows, months, years, 10 million years. I probably won't wait that long. Alright. This is a good time just to double check and make sure I'm not crazy. Okay, yeah, it hasn't hit. These zones have not been hit at all. So let's drag these all the way over. There, a little bit here. Oh, come on. Give me that middle one. There it is. Alright, pull these out. Oh, come on. When you do it, when you make it too small, it's hard to grab the middle of it. There we go. Grab there. Come on. Come on, baby. Okay. I think that's good enough for now. That'll last us till June, just about. Okay. So, that's pretty clear kind of where I think this is headed. So I might consider taking a trade here. We'll see what happens in this, what they decide to do with the liquidity they snatched up in this zone. And how hard they want to push up before they come back down to this area. So I'm just going to make a note for myself here. I'm going to keep an eye down here on this red line. Yep. Cool. What else we got? Dollar franc. I'm obviously already in some swing trades here because I think I have identified at least a local low because we've been on this drop for a hot minute. Now there are some zones over here, so I'm keeping my eyes out. But for the meantime, I'm expecting a big rise here. Look at that, I even got my zone wrong here. Because there's another zone in between this one. Matter of fact, you could just connect these zones. There's a little bit of a dead space in the middle where there's no vector, but for simplicity's sake, we could drop this to here. So, you know, given that there are these big profit areas down here to the low side, what wouldn't shock me at all would be to see a move up, pick up this zone, maybe not even pick these up, or conversely, move all the way up, tap this high again, thus creating a big, massive M, and then come down, reclaim all these, right? I don't know. We'll see. See how that plays out. For the moment, we're doing well in our swing and I expect to at least hit this before I start taking profits out. Okay, where are we at? And last pair for Forex that we're going to look at, and then we'll dive into some crypto. Kiwi yen, my good friend. Wow, look at that. Thought we were coming down here on this move, I guess. Is that what I thought? Yeah, because we thought we had found a peak here. Should have known better because the low peak was so close. And actually this all now looks like one pattern. So what I'm going to do is just get rid of all the noise. Turn off the session breaks again. Turn off the indicator and just look at pure price line on the 4 hour. Of course, this situation intrigues me. These three peaks. That feels like a potential very, very large M formation. Just look at the sustained rise we've had. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go to the daily for this. There's an interesting little pattern here. When we get to crypto, you're going to see something very similar to this exact pattern playing out on Bitcoin. So we have had a sustained rise since March of 2020. This is a year-long drive to the upside. Question is, do they move all the way up? We've got these three peaks right here. Right, which really make me believe, make me think we're probably headed to a downward trend. But to have an alternate hypothesis, consider this peak here on the daily. Right, and what you'll see if you flip the screen upside down, this area, send this to the back. This area, if you flipped it upside down, would look shockingly similar to this area. Right? You see it? Which could tell us that in the macro sense, like we're on a daily chart now. This is not really, I mean, we're really thinking like the mind of a swing trader right now, not a day trader. You know, combine that with the fact that in this sense we've recovered almost everything. Well, there's still these zones down here, but that, I mean, now we're going back, you know, over a decade now. 12 years. So I think in the medium term, it's reasonable to think that these three pins could represent a, you know, a fairly sustained drop. But I would be expecting these two peaks to signify an ultimately a larger move to the upside. But I'm talking in terms of years here, right? Years to get back up to here. So in the more immediate future, just drop to the 4 hour. Pin, movement, accumulation, pin, drop, more accumulation, pin. So if I'm doing anything in the short term, it's a drop. Personally, that's how I see this. So I think the local 1 hour, 4 hour. Move looks to be a drop. Macro day looks like middle phase between years long move up. All right, I'll make myself that little note here. So if we think we're going to get a drop in the sort of medium to short term, what candles do we have to collect on our way down? Well, there are no real vectors in here. There are some down here though. So this is a zone of interest. This is a zone of interest for sure. Look at that. Big fat daddy candle. Alright, I'm just gonna... okay, we can add... what do we have over here? No, that was recovered immediately. Stopping volume. Nothing really else to add here. Most of this looks like natural price movement. These big candles got recovered straight away. Alright, so I think that's all I want to mark right here. These two zones. And that might even fit our idea in the macro sense. Drop, snatch these two up, and then head north. You know, sometime by late summer, early fall. And there are some others to grab over here. Ooh, especially this big one. Look at these candles. Now they have seen no profit, have they? Nope. So these gargantuan green candles right here probably need to see profit at some point. I'm gonna mark those. Yeah. Yeah, which could be a quick move that taps and then rises out. Because this is that big accumulation zone we were talking about earlier. All right. So I definitely in the reasonably short to medium term, I am currently favoring a move to the downside in Kiwi yen. Might as well draw this pretty head and shoulders here. And mark this as level 1. Yep. Anybody see anything different than that? All right, cool. That was a pretty fun Forex update. Haven't done Forex in a few days now. On stream anyway. So let's pull up some crypto. Maddie and Zabs, anything crazy happened last day or so? I've been unplugged a little bit. Doing a few other things, so I haven't been glued to my scalping charts. What do we have here? Oh, this is DOT. I don't really want to start with DOT. I want to start with Grandpa Bitcoin. Oh, we hit a zone here. Hello. Boy, that is a nasty looking chart. Look at all these lines of crap I have on here. Yeah, I mean, we expected this zone to get hit to recover those candles, and it sure enough did. Question is, did they get enough? Or do they want to come down here since they're close and grab this one? Alright, I'm going to clear the chart. I'm going to turn off this. I'm going to show you the pattern I was talking about on the other map. The other chart that we saw. Here's the exact same pattern. Right here. On Bitcoin. You go with 4 hour. Here, let me That's it right there. That's the pattern. This exact same thing. Now on the other one, we found a corresponding shape on the upside, on the other side, but you're not going to see that here because obviously that would have put us in up here in territory we've never touched in Bitcoin. 65 still the ATH right there. Yeah. I mean, this move to the upside here is really important. Let me get some other playlist going. Can't stand the silence. Silence is no good. Okay. Yeah, this is important because if we go to the daily, let's just stretch this out so it doesn't blow up my screen when I turn on the indicators. So the signal that had people worried the other day is the fact that in this entire bull run, we have not, the only times we've ever crossed the 50, we immediately pulled back up and kept growing, right? This time it didn't even touch. This time it didn't touch. Here we touched. The first time we have seen it cross through the 50 on this entire bull run was recently. And even more concerning to most folks was this candle. When this daily candle happened and we rejected and we had another day of drop, people thought, oh shit, you know, this is a notable break from the pattern or from the trend we had been on, right? I mean, you can clearly see it if you take your ray tool and you draw something like this as a trend line, you know, valley to valley, and then we'll just go peak to peak here, right? If that's the two rays you're looking at, then clearly there's a momentum shift, right? I mean, let's make it the most recent high, which is there, and the most recent low now, which is here. Now that's a nice looking trend line. So overperformance was, you know, happening here and here. Maybe this is the true sort of rate of growth. If we're going to see a continued rise, and we'll know for sure. Let's turn this on. We'll know a little bit better when we see where this move goes, right? If we drop down and we bounce off this similar trend line again, that's a very strong sign. If we break through it, set a new low down here, even if it's the same as that, the trend has to broaden like that. And the more times we do this, the closer we get to a bear market, right? For the time being, though, I think there should be less panic than there was about a week ago when what looked like a rejection of the 50 happened right here. That was this candle right here. But within a day, well, 2 days, we had we regained the momentum on this. This was a really big day here, and then a little bit of a turn, but then a peak, and then now we're, you know, coming back down. But like I said, it would be totally healthy for this move to play out, even if it comes up here and it taps again. If it recovers, when we see something like this, you know, that's all expected. That would signify that the bear or the bull market still has a ways to go. We'll revisit this and, you know, not get concerned until we see a breakout to below this trend line again. Now, in terms of, you know, you're looking at this from a scalper's perspective, you don't care about any of that crap. You want to go here, turn this on the 1 hour. Oh, we're on the 1 hour. Get our trend line back up, see where we are in the local market. So we got a little bit of an M that happened here, little baby M on the 1 hour. Right where it's supposed to happen, above the 50, drove us through the 50. Big vector candle here. You can just about bet that the farm that this is going to get recovered probably pretty quickly. I mean, this vector did recover these, damn near all of these vectors right here. Look at that. Like, hello. Thank you. So, yeah, I would be, I'm not going to say shocked, but I do anticipate at least a move back to get most of this candle, if not all of it. Now they have grabbed half of it, to be fair. On this pin right here, they nabbed half of this candle. But when you factor in that this one's not seen profit, this one's not seen profit, yeah, this feels like a move up and out to me. So that being said, would we be shocked if we push down a little bit before we rise out? Not at all. That would make this W, complete. It doesn't have to drop out. It can, this could be the W and on this pin right here. We do have wonky ones like this, but I wouldn't be shocked to see it retrace a little bit down by the time, see, London's open for what, 2 hours now? An hour? 2 hours. They throw me off with their time change and our time change. According to this chart, it's open 2 hours now. Well, 1 hour and 5 minutes, because we just opened this candle. That's actually quite a bit of movement for 5 minutes on a 1 hour candle. So this could pin, drop, and then by New York we may have hit this bottom of the W and head out. That feels the most likely to me right now, which would put this right here, right around 9 or 10 o'clock. We'll move it to 10. So we'll say that this is the move we anticipate. So all that being said, if you're on a scalp timeline, then maybe at the moment you favor the downside. It looks like our market cipher B divergences are just printed us a green dot on the 15. I don't know. These dots are often wrong. I mean, right there you can see a quick change. So I'm gonna kind of just watch this. I think if I were gonna scalp this, and we can actually do this if we want right now as a paper trade, because look, if we tap this point and we get a return, if this little peak right here dips back, we'll mark that and consider that the open of a short, and we'll just paper trade it and see how it goes, because it would equal this peak right here, which would have made, a good looking entry on the 1 minute for sure. But we got to wait, because sometimes when you're anticipating this type of a tap, you get a real strong candle that goes full green and just blasts through it, and if that happens, obviously you don't want to be entering a short. So let's just see what happens. Put a little hat on this guy. Yeah, look at that. Exact. What did I say? Look at that. Happens all the freaking time. Now maybe it pins the high and comes back, but my guess is since we just broke this little area, we're probably gonna head north for a bit. Maybe to this point. Let's see what happens. Oh, crap, I got my chat turned down. Okay, sorry, I missed a bunch of this chat. My fault, guys. Alright, I'm gonna start with Zaps up here. Crypto took a turn. I figured it was because ETH was overextended, but then ETH recovered better than everything else. I mean, I think ETH has disconnected itself from the rest of the natural world. I am officially not going to trade Ether for a while until I see it return to some level of predictability, or it starts adhering to some patterns one way or the other. That thing is just, it's in its own world. Kind of like BNB has been for a while. I'm not trading either of those because they're very similar in nature, as in terms of what they do, their functionality, their smart chains that BSC and ERC20, and you know how popular that is to build tokens off of. So I'm not touching those. Bitcoin seems to be traded more like a commodity, like something that's really easy to manipulate by market maker types, which is what we want, really, the way that we're all learning to trade. Yeah, look at it. We got a sustained move, so I would not, me personally, I wouldn't try to catch the move up. I would look for the turn down. This might be it right here, but it also could just be a stop hunt rise. So let's watch it. I kind of favor the stop hunt rise theory right now for this candle. Let's see what happens. Zaps really like the looks of XLM and XRP right now. Okay, we'll take a look at those. Seems like we'd at least get some sort of M if we're going to go down this week. Agreed. Maddie says, one thing I've been wondering, people reflect current bull run to the 2017 bull run, but isn't the dynamic different now since we have yes, the dynamic is completely different. I fully agree with that, Maddie. You cannot look back at the 2017 or the 2013 or any of the bull runs, many bull runs in between, and make a comparison. You know, it could be that we're getting, at least with Bitcoin and the bigger, you know, the bigger altcoins, because of, you know, it's incomparable the level of adoption by the mainstream that we have now versus back then. I mean, even now, there is still amazing room to grow because the barriers to entry are still there. You know, there's still annoying things like having to find the right exchange and having to move stuff off of one chain to the other. I mean, I just went through this myself. Like, I had to move some funds off of the ERC20 network onto the BSC network, and that's not easy. That's a pain in the ass. I figured it out, so it's easy now, and the next time I do it, I won't have nearly the trouble I had this time. But those are barriers for most people, because most people don't care to spend the amount of time that I do and that you guys do learning how to move funds around on different blockchain networks. So, you know, all that is to say that yes, it's a different market. The institutional support is different, but don't let that strike up your FOMO because I mean, every one of us that are having these conversations right now are still in the, gosh, I don't know, maybe the earliest 1 to 2% of people. I mean, the vast majority of folks, just general folks in the world, don't know hardly anything about crypto. Certainly don't know enough to be, you know, investing on one blockchain and swapping to another and moving coins from this exchange to that exchange, trading on leverage, all that kind of stuff. So look, exactly what we thought might happen here happened, and we're still moving. So we're going to keep an eye on this peak. I'm a little skeptical of taking a short until we've reached closer to this top right here, or one of these. So I mean, you know, this could be on the 1 minute. We could have a head and shoulders forming here. We want to try to catch that turn for our paper trade. Or close to it, right? We don't have to get it right the first time, but we get another potential turn right here. And, you know, since we're doing a stepped entry, I am going to actually mark right here as a first entry of a short. So we'll turn it red, and we'll allow ourselves potential to grow to here, here, or here for additional entries. And we'll go slow. We'll only make one at this point if it rises against us. If it rises against us again, we'll wait for this area, and if it turns against us or continues to push against us again, this would be our, let's see, what, 1, 2, 3, this would be our fourth area we would look to re-enter, somewhere around here, right? And that would put us, depending on what our capital, our capital to position ratio is, how comfortable we are with risk and all that stuff, that might be near the last of our available entries, or it may only be halfway through. In my own trades lately, I've been allowing myself space to do 8 or 9 entries. But when I first started this, working on my style of this method, I was only allowing myself 4 to 5 entries. So it really just depends on what you're comfortable with. Yeah, switching MetaMask networks, that's exactly the process that I really had to learn last night, and it wasn't fun. Because basically what happened was I wanted to get in on a pre-sale for a token with the tokens on the BSC network, and I had nothing on the BSC network. And due to the fact that I live in the US, when I do use Binance Exchange quite a bit, mostly just to swap tokens. You can't, on Binance US, you can't do leverage trading, so I don't do that there. But swapping coins, deposit, withdrawal, it seems pretty reliable and fast for that. It's fairly safe, as far as I can tell. I mean, there's triple factor authentication and all that. Anyway, the issue with that is that in the States, on Binance.us, even if you have a bunch of BNB on there, that BNB you can't send to a b0tz wallet, which is what everybody else in the world, that is the chain they have their BNB on. All right, if you have Binance US, you can only send it to a b0tz wallet, which is I don't know why they did it this way, and it's super annoying. But essentially what I had to do was take my BNB, because that's what you had to buy into the pre-sale with. I had to get that, and I actually wound up doing it through Tether, and I think I could have avoided that. But what I could have done, I believe, in hindsight, is taken my BNB off of Binance on the ERC20 network, because you can choose that option, I think. Maybe you can't. You know what? Let me look, now that I'm thinking about this. Maybe you can't do that. Let's see. If we do BNB, nope, you can't. So it's only b0tz. See, this is the only network. So that is why I had to go with Tether. With Tether, you can take it off of Binance on the ERC20 network. So that's what I had to do. I took it off of Tether into my MetaMask wallet on the ERC20 network. Then I went to, where is it? ZeroSwap. And ZeroSwap has, if you go to transfer on the left, and then they have cross-chain bridge, so you can select, now I'm connected to this on my wallet that's currently set to Smart Chain, but if I swap to the Ethereum chain, which I now have to do in MetaMask, right? I have to take this, go to MetaMask, swap it to Ethereum mainnet, right? Then I can select a token that I have, which I had here on USDT, on the Ethereum network. Current blockchain to destination, you select Smart Chain there, and then run it. Right? It takes a little while to transfer, but it works. And then so the next sticking point for me was the fact that when this happens through Zero, it shows up in your Smart Chain wallet. So if we go to MetaMask, we switch back to Smart Chain, it shows up as ZUSDT instead of USDT, right? And I didn't know what the hell that was. So what that is a wrapped version of USDT on the BSC network that is part of this zero transfer or zero exchange, right? So then you go to swap, you leave it on Smart Chain, and you select your ZUSDT here, which I had, whatever, selected that, and then turned it into BNB, and then finally at the end of all those steps, I had BNB on the Smart Chain on the b0tz network in my MetaMask, and I was able to go to the pre-sale and buy it. But my God, look at all those steps. People aren't going to want to do that, you know? And I envision as this stuff grows that things like that will happen behind the scenes and no one will even have to think about it. They'll just say, what do I have? I got 20 ether. Okay, I want to turn that into BNB on the smart chain. I click a button, it happens, right? At that point, you can expect the adoption of crypto to explode through the roof. Yeah, so the BEP2 and 20 thing, that is a US problem that is based on the fact that Binance chose to create an entirely different exchange to live in the US versus the big Binance, which the rest of the world uses. I think it was a stupid and terrible decision. I'm sure it was profitable for him, so whatever, but you know. All right, look, we got our turn here, at least for now. So let's keep track of this, because we're sitting even or in the profit depending on when your order got filled in this area. Paper trades, no financial advice. But at this point, you know, the best case scenario. So this is the interesting thing about doing this strategy, right? Because, you know, common logic would say, oh man, boy, if this goes with us, that's great. And it's only kind of true when you're doing this type of stepped entry. Honestly, the best case scenario for us is for price to go from where we are now to this point here, turn, and then maybe to here, turn, and then to peak here, and that, and then dump. Right? That's the best case scenario, because that would say, that would give us, here's our first entry, that would give us a second, third, and fourth. Our effective entry would be between the third and fourth, so right here. And we would have our largest amount in, so every tick through here, it wouldn't even have to get down here. We could close out this trade if it worked out this way, right? If we have an entry here, 1, 2, 3, 4, we could close out that trade like here in a decent profit. Here in an even better profit. You could close the trade well above your first entry and have a pretty good profit. That's just the nature of these multiple entries. The turn you catch does not have to be big, you know. But we'll see. We'll know when we know. While we're watching this paper trade play out, let's take a look. You said, I know you said XRP. What was the other one? XLM? Where is it? I know you typed it in here, Zaps. Oh, I missed another question. What's the interest like for trading Forex on multi-month time frames? I don't really know. I would never hold it for one trade for that long. I would make multiple trades. I would try to find a peak, as close to a peak as I could, and a re-entry. So I wouldn't actually hold one swing trade for a month. That month or a year's long swing trade would consist of dozens of exits and entries. All right, I see XLM and XRP. All right, let's take a look at XLM. Yep, I see these bounces. Bounces off the 800 on the 15 and the 200 on the 1 hour. Let's take a look at a bigger snapshot and see what kind of price movement we got. Look at that pin. Woo! Mama. So we have a similar pattern right here that we saw on Bitcoin and on that other, that Forex pair. So So this looks to be following a similar path as Bitcoin, doesn't it? This is kind of where we are on Bitcoin as well. You know, we've tapped this low a bunch right there. Look at all these tap, 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 tap. Have not reclaimed this candle though. Only one, you know, maybe 40% reclaimed this big one and none of that one. So there's space to move here. Another similar story where we could have essentially this could rise and drop as a head and shoulders up here. Now that would only be one level removed from this peak W here, so maybe that's a little bit of a pipe dream. And it wouldn't be good for the market if that happens. The market would prefer that this be a retrace, you know, effectively making this your peak W, making this your level 1, making this your level 2, and then for it to, instead of doing a head and shoulders and dropping, it would be better for the market if it would play this move out up to the high, you know, bring us out, bounce, and then wait till we get up here, reclaim some of this territory before we make another peak formation and turn this into a new level here, somewhere in this. That would be better for the market. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but and it would probably be far more extended than it is on this drawing, right? So these pins right here in this zone feel pretty bullish to me. Oops, gotta add some juice. And this candle is forming right now on the hourly is pretty strong. Look at that movement. It's only halfway through. There we go. Yeah, look at this move on the 1 minute. Wow, what a move. That's very nice. No reason to think this is going to slow down until... I mean, it has blasted through these points right here. We're at this one now. So, probably the next point you would expect significant resistance, maybe at this moving average, which should translate to the 50 right here. So if it powers through the 50, we could be headed all the way back up to Sydney's open. Good movement there. Let's check back in on our scalp. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's another spot. All right. Does this fit? We've broke past this local high, so this is not going to play out. Now, what did we say? We said, okay, we would make an entry here, right? Which is where we are now. So we'll go ahead. I mean, we weren't paying attention, so we missed the peak, unfortunately, but that would have been right here. But maybe we just back off and wait, because it may come back through here. But this, let's see how this plays out, because we got 2 minutes left, and this shape looks like stopping volume right now. It may not stay that way, but that is certainly what it looks like. Okay, Manny, take care, man. I hope you have a good day. We got 2 more minutes to see if this is going to close and look like stopping volume on the 15. I'm going to go ahead and mark this. See if we had been, this was outside the volatility band when it started, but now it looks like it just barely tapped it. So no, I'll wait. I don't want to mark it. Who knows? I may have taken it if I had been watching this, but I wasn't, so shouldn't give my paper trade any more realism or any less realism than a live one. Staying true to its name, this stopping volume candle has just flat out stopped dead center line of the 50. Look at that. Now this triangle on the market cipher, I would make, just right now based off what I see, I would make another entry here. Even though it's not a peak down here, it looks like stopping volume. Maybe that signifies that this pushes over and we're headed back down to make our W. Don't know. Potential. Would work for the scalp if that's the case. And we are dead center 5:30 my time, so the real heat you expect to show up in on the next not this 15-minute candle, but the following one. Oh, here comes a turn, maybe. Or a stop hunt to snag any people that went long here. That could also happen. You can see how much the volatility bands have narrowed on the TDI. Thanks to these railroad tracks right here. So now this little bit of a move from here to here takes you down to the peak of the bottom of to the bottom of the volatility band. Now I wonder if the divergences cipher B will print a red dot, since the cipher A printed this change of direction symbol. Another thing for us to look out for on the 1 hour is the narrowing of these two signal lines. If we get a pullback here and we come down, we tap again, they will separate more. But then whenever we tap the low again, if that happens, if we tap the low and move up, it should only take a couple of candles for these to cross. And if they cross on the hourly, then it's usually a pretty decent sign of a fairly extended move, right? So like here's a cross. There's a cross, a bearish cross right there. And we haven't crossed again. The bullish cross before that was right here. Right? Decent move. And then we get a little tangled here. A little tangled in this area. But then, so let's say this is the first time it crossed bearish right there after this move, after this cross right here, right down here. So you could even, you know, there's a case to be made to just play the 1 hour signal crosses. You know, if you had caught that, if you had seen this play out and took the next candle as an entry, you would have ridden it all the way up here, and then you close it when they cross back. It's a good move there. How many pips is that? That's 8,045 pips for a 7.55% move. That's a good move. You just don't want to make these moves while they're tangling up like they are in this area right here. That's no good. I mean, look at this. If you went cross to cross here, I'm going to make this a little larger. If you went from signal cross to signal cross, you would have jumped in while this candle was playing out. Right here, because that's where the signal lines cross. They don't uncross until here on this red candle. Actually, yeah, in between the, right around these two candles. But you could have maybe even taken this as a sign to close the trade because of the, you finally get a notable volume pushing it down. But if you just followed, if you set that up as your rule that you'll enter and exit on signal crosses, there's another good trade right there. How much is that? Let's see. Say you catch it in, we'll say you catch it at the, halfway up this candle. You're never going to get it perfect. And you catch this halfway down that candle. Almost 10%. 9,767 pips. Like, oh my god. Another great trade. Got you into Cypher B on the 15-minute. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a tool. It's, you know, I don't think anyone should ever treat it like you know, like a ghost necessarily, like you base your trades off of it. But I mean, if we have these tools available to us and they're friggin' free, why not use them? That's how I think about it. All right, so now we have established a London high with this stopping volume candle. It's not to say that that will hold, but if I was gonna count on a high to hold, these are the types of candles I would certainly be looking for. You know, rather than some just lazy movement like this. I mean, this one right here is also a good sign that Hong Kong was gonna stop here. Because when you combine these two candles together, you have stopping volume. It just timed out so that it doesn't represent really well here. But if you combine this candle and this candle, the movement total is only from here to here. And all of this is a pin. And it's above average volume, right? So that's what this candle would look like if you combined them. And that looks like stopping volume. Similar to this, without the tail. Yeah, so obviously you can do whatever it wants, but the signals I'm seeing right now certainly do make me think that our W hypothesis is over here, may play out. And now we're getting pretty extended on the market cipher B. You know, I think if this closes, if this 15-minute closes down, especially if it overtakes this one, if you get a bearish engulfing pattern, so if this candle's body closes below this line right here, I would not be shocked if we don't get a red dot print on the cipher B. Alright, I'm going to take a break, grab another cup of coffee, turn the music up, and I will be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. doing some movement. Let's have a look. It's like our scalp may relax for a little bit, so let's have a look. Where's Litecoin? Answer, not on my symbol list, so let's add it. Add symbol. Litecoin USD. Add the one for Binance, I suppose. And have a look. Whoa, hello candle. Goodness gracious, look at that. Holy moly. Man. That is a nice move. We'll see where this is in the 1 hour cycle. Oh my god. So Litecoin kind of doing its own thing, it looks like. Leading the market. So we had a really beautiful M formation here. Consolidate here. Rise and then a nice drop to a new peak. I mean, every chart has this shape on it right now, it looks like. Recovered, consolidated once here, consolidated again here, which would be, I mean, I think we could call all of this one level, right? Because this new low was not above the previous high. So now we get a big daddy push to the high. Wow, nice candle. So somewhere in this next area, you know, this 50 is going to lag for quite a while. You know, it'll probably wind up, you know, doing something like that if it stays bullish. And then, you know, maybe 2 or 3 more hourly candles will get the dead cat bounce right here. And then it's decision time, probably at some point soon after that. Make a run close to the 50, maybe even through it, before in a bullish market this would continue up like that. Okay, sorry about that. We had a we had a spider on the ceiling emergency that I had to go take care of with the wife. That's funny. I got him though. It's all safe. She's I trapped it in some tissue paper, and the wife is presently giving it a Norse burial at sea in the toilet. All right, pop back over to Bitcoin. How's Grandpa doing? Okay, nothing wrong with that. Do want to start thinking about, like, okay, if I'm trading this live, the more convinced I get that the the downward push is coming soon, you know, which would be reinforced by a red printing over here. This rejection right here of the 800, which is the, you know, the 15 on the 50 on the 15. Yeah, I mean, the more I believe that this is going to play out, right, then the more likely I am to make another entry even without a peak out of here. But, you know, when you do that, you sort of, you know, you limit your chances to react if it moves against us again. So it's a gamble, you know. I mean, all of this is a gamble in one way or another, but the upside to doing it right now would be that you're not going to move your entry hardly at all, right? I mean, our effective entry right now is halfway between these two. So it's somewhere in this area right here. Enter again here. It's not going anywhere. It stays exactly where it is. All right. So it really just depends on, like, if I was doing the style that I started with, where I've got, you know, 5-6 entries is pretty much the max I can do. I'm not entering here. If I'm doing, if I have my you know, my ratios proper to where I can do 8 or 9 entries, then yeah, I can just about guarantee I'm taking another entry here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it because that's what I've been trading lately. We didn't catch this peak, so we're going to lie to ourselves about it. But I would take this entry if I was doing what? Oh, here we go. The way I have lately been trading with, you know, 8 or 9 entries available to me, I'm taking this one for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that. And this is our effective. This is our net position right here. Again, this is paper trade. No financial advice. I'm not advising anyone to trade based off of this. This is practice to see, you know, how consistent can we get with wins, even if they're small wins. It depends, Zaps. You know, I prefer to take any critters that I catch outside, but number one, this is a spider. Spiders don't get the same generosity of spirit from me that like, now if it's like a daddy long legs or one of those that don't bite, yeah, those will definitely get taken outside. This one got the sea burial in the toilet because he looked a little suspicious to me. You know, we made eye contact and I didn't like what I saw in his little spider soul. Indeed, to Valhalla. And I wish him all the best in his next life. Actually, my daughter and I came up with an invention. I'm gonna find a picture of it real quick on my other screen because I'm almost positive it's on Facebook. Because my youngest daughter has a crazy big heart, super empathetic, and like she's vegetarian. She doesn't want any creatures to be hurt, right? So with that in mind, we came up with a nice plan for an invention that would you know, solve a couple problems. One problem being we don't want to kill creatures. The other problem being, you know, people don't want to touch icky bugs, you know? So this invention was born right here. Make this bigger? Do I need to open it? I do have to save it, huh? All right, let's save it. Pictures, there we go. And we call this the critter getter. Open up the picture and make it blow it up for you. All right, here's the invention. This is called the Critter Getter. And it's a handheld tool. Now my daughter drew this. Drew this all out. And you hold it, you know, it's kind of like, if you remember back in the day, those handheld vacuums that were all the rage for a while, the Dirt Devils, Dust Busters. So it's kind of like that. The thing is, it has a fan on the inside and then some kind of a protective, you know, she wrote mesh net protector. It has something here that protects the bugs. The idea is you see a spider and you're too scared to touch it and you don't want to kill it. You grab this thing out, take the lid off, and you press the button and it sucks them into this little chamber, but it does, you know, it has a protector so it doesn't pull them into the fan. And you can turn this like on, you know, like in or out. So collect bug or critter and then expel critter. Suck them in there, put the lid back on, walk outside, flip the switch back here, aim it at your yard, and shoot them right back out safely and securely, and you never have to touch the bug. So that's the invention that we came up with. So just need to find an engineer that knows how to make stuff. But I think that would be pretty neat. I think it's a pretty good idea. What do you guys think? Would you invest, or not invest, but would you purchase for yourself a Critter Getter? You're a college student, that's the only kind of vacuum you've ever known. It's the only kind you really need. Yeah. That and shop vac. Alright, here, this may be the move we're looking for. We're in the profit on this scalp for sure. So let's let it play out, see what happens. Yeah, we got a nice movement here. Nice movement. Probably get a little bit of a stop hunt here, maybe. Tap the underside of this 50 on the 1 minute. Bring it back down. But I will point out that the way that I do these scalps, after a third entry, if I get a solid move. Now, if this continues to the upside, I'm staying in it. I have more entries to make. But what I have to do is, for me, I have to be happy with small victories, right? That's how this thing, for me, has played out the most successfully, is when I don't let greed get the better of me, and I take profit. Now, what we could do, I may not do this today because I have to get to work a little bit earlier than normal, but one of the strategies that I've been working on with the as long as you can do hedge mode, which on Bybit it's default. I think you can turn it on in Binance, and who knows with all the other exchanges. But what I would probably do, if I had the time and was going to sit here for a couple hours and baby this trade, is I would look for this to move to the downside. When I got into one of these previous peak areas where we met resistance, I would open a long using the profit that I take from this short. I would leave the short open, but I would take, I don't know, let's say 50% of the profit, right? And I would put that profit into a long that starts somewhere down here, right? Some people might take it here because of this nice peak out of the volatility band. I'm not going to do it because I don't like for my, when I'm doing hedge mode, I don't like for my net short to be this close to my net long position. I want my net long position to be down here, my net short to stay up here if possible, right? And then I'm looking for moves outside of each position, and I'm adding at those points, right? And then once I have built a decent position on my long, if I get a move to the up, I'm funding a new short that, you know, I only need to see a small drop to take profit on. So, you know, the key areas to look for that, and potential entries for the for a long, if we were going to go hedge mode, would be, you know, this zone. I don't like this being all crooked. Go away. I'm going to redo that. Let's go ahead and blow this up. Yeah, so potential areas to look for short entries. I'm sorry, long entries. Somewhere in this area. Somewhere here. Down here. And of course, somewhere, if we think the W is going to play out and, you know, pin somewhere down here, you know, then, you know, anywhere along this line would be another zone of interest for building a long position, which could potentially be done at least partially out of the profits from a short if it moves the way we want it to move. That would give you 1, 2, 3, 4. If the W plays out the way we think it could on the 1 hour, right? If we get some pin somewhere down here, you know, maybe New York, maybe by that point we pin a low and head up, then we could, by that turn, we could have effectively had a profitable short, turned profits into a good position on a long, and then we have several points to take profit on its way back up. So that's 3 scalps built from the first short we took, potentially. That's why I like having this view set up, so I can, you know, think about all of the different time frames and what I'm looking at to know, you know, what's my plan, what levels are we going to hit that change my entire outlook on what I think price is going to do, so that I can adjust course, because this W may not play out. If it doesn't, if we start rising straight away here, you know, that entire plan's out the window. At that point, we start thinking about, like, how long do we wait for a potential fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth entry onto the short, or catching one medium-sized turn to make make one big short possible or profitable, right? Hey, what's up, George? How you doing, my friend? Hope your weekend was good. Hope your Monday was good. I took off basically the whole weekend. I mean, Saturday night we did the whiskey stream with Josh. We talked helping hand stuff and just life stuff in general. And then I kind of spent some time away from the charts. So we had a pretty good breakdown at the top of the stream. George, if you're into Forex, you may want to go back and check that out. I identified potentially some decent swing opportunities. So might want to check that out if you do any Forex trading. Or if you just want to have some more time with the charts, because these patterns seem to play out at least on Bitcoin. Nothing plays out on Ethereum anymore except a rocket ship straight to the moon. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, I can't trade this. I tried, and it does not work. I mean, look at this hour chart. Runs absolutely redonkulous. I mean, she has not checked up since 2200. This zone was interesting for a hot minute with these like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about eight solid pins to the low, and it has just been a joyride ever since. So I'm not even tinkering with scalps or anything like that on Ether, because you know what? You see a formation like this, right? Let me show you what happens when you start puffing the magic dragon with Ether, right? What happens is you see this formation, you go, oh man, look how much she's been rising. This is going to be an epic short. Oh my god, we have a Head and Shoulders that's just pretty as a picture. Oh, I'm so smart. I'm such a brilliant person. I'm going to grab this trade, right? So you go in right here, right? Or you, maybe you even wait. Maybe you're patient and you go in here, right? Because it makes all the sense in the world that this is the beginning of a downturn, right? Yeah, but then what happens? Right? Next thing you know, this happens, right? I mean, it goes all the way to probably 1 million, you know, 5,000 easy, no problem, you know, 5,300, who cares? Let's go all the way up, right? 6,200, what the hell? Why not? Right? All because you took a short right here, because that's how the market works. Ether hates you, unless you're a holder. If you're an investor, Ether loves you. If you're a day trader, Ether will kick you right in the junk over and over and over. So don't do it. Don't do it. Don't trade. Don't try to day trade this stuff. That's my opinion. Sit on it and just look at your account every 3 days and smile about how rich you are. Nah, who knows? Maybe this is a turning point, you know. But I tell you what, I ain't trading it. I am not trading it. No, 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 no. Nope. What Ether I have is just going to sit there and chill and be happy. I don't even think Market Cipher knows to do with it. A lot of red dots printing, but I mean that is short-lived. All right, let's get back to Grandpa. Oh, we got a little bit of movement up. Okay, so we'll see. See what happens here. Yeah, there may not be any stopping it, you know. I mean, I kind of earlier today I compared it to what we've seen BNB doing lately, you know, and it's on a tear as well, you know, which I find really interesting because of how similar they are in terms of how they're used. I think the decoupling from Bitcoin and Ethereum is well underway and is here to stay. And I would not be shocked if we don't start seeing strong correlations between the way Ether moves and the way BNB moves. Because they are direct competitors, obviously, but they provide a very similar, you know, benefit, like service. Their use case is, you know, identical, pretty much. Yeah, I hear you, George. Stay the hell away from it. It is not, you know, folks that are learning along with Traders Reality, along with, you know, Steve Morrow, along with Trader at Home, that whole mentality, I don't think you can apply it to either of these two coins, either BNB or Ether right now. I mean, you can obviously use leverage trading strategies and position building, but I mean, danger Will Robinson, because if you're trying to build a short on Ether, I don't know, good luck is all I can tell you. You're going to need a lot of space to make multiple entries, and then when it turns even the littlest bit, you need to take profit and smile. We'll tap the, I wonder if London will tap its own It's high again right here on this 1 hour candle. Wouldn't surprise me. Could even take it out, honestly. Grab a little bit more of this candle while we're at it. I mean, it could do anything at once, obviously. But I'm holding on to this idea right here for now, because this feels like a good spot for New York to kick in a reversal and take us really high. We'll see. And remember, the way we're kind of measuring our entries on this scalp. Ignore this. These are potential zones of interest that I've marked for a future long. But what we're going to do on the scalp is we're not going to look to make another entry until we approach this level here. And this is the next area of interest for a potential fourth entry into the short. I'm going to change up the music and get us something a little bit more hype, because my coffee is coursing through my veins now, and this sleepy stuff's not doing it for me anymore. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. There we go. What do we feel like? A little bit of rock and roll. That's what I feel like. Let's see what they put into the 90s rock category on Epidemic Sound. This is that band. I've played several of their songs on here. They're on this Epidemic Sound app. They're called Tiger Blood Jewel. They just make a ton of nice rock grooves, a lot of instrumentals, which I appreciate. So here we got a move. Now, what are we expecting? It looks like this has taken out the previous London high. Only by a little bit, so this could still stop, you know. But in my experience, what I've seen when something like this happens, it's still going to move, right? That is what I think. So I do think we're headed for a move towards the Asia market. The Sydney high was up here at 57,480. The Tokyo Hong Kong high 57,224. And again, are we extended? How are we on the ADR? Let's take a look. We're at 57.49. ADR is 62.33, so we're close to the end. We still got about 5,000 not 5,000, 500-ish pips of space to be within the average range. So yeah, here comes a movement. So this didn't play out. Get rid of that. And let's see how far we go. Looks like it says yesterday's low is right here. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so this zone is of interest right here. Right through here, which is roughly where we are now. So it may not make it all the way back up, you know, in light of this zone being of appears to be significant support resistance area. So we could get a turn before we reach the top of Tokyo, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. So over here on our scalping side, 1 minute. Let's watch this. Now look, we've climbed quite a bit outside the volatility band. So let's look for a peak back in. Interesting green dot printing here on the cipher A. Guessing that's about to go away. Because this dips back in. If this isn't a stop hunt, if it could be that we've pinned right in this area. It's like where this support resistance line appears to be over here. So again, I'm operating on the plan that I've got potentially 8 or 9 entries. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that as a fourth. Right there. You know, would have been nice to catch this, but it's not really realistic. So that's our fourth entry right there. Now our position was here. So halfway between this is where our new net is. So we're going to call it right there. I don't know a whole lot about Litecoin, so George and Zaps, if you feel free to post in the chat and give me some education. You know, all I really know is that it was kind of the first and longest lived alt, quote unquote altcoin. I don't know what functionality, if any, it has. You know, I don't know what the business model, or yeah, I don't know anything like that about it. So if you guys know some stuff about it, share. It's like Bitcoin, but uses less energy, less fees, and has faster transactions. Okay, so it's just a currency. Gotcha. I thought that's kind of what I thought, but you know, like I said, I'm not well versed in it, so I don't want to speak out of turn. So we can already see a little bit of resistance coming into play in this area. This looks like stopping volume, but it's a 1 minute candle, so, you know, take that for what it's worth. Another push. If this pulls back, that would effectively be, well, who knows? Let's see. We're moving. Maybe it was a very brief stop. in this resistance zone on its way back to here. We'll see. And again, please, please, please remember what you have budgeted yourself in terms of entries. Because if you've only budgeted yourself 4 to 5 entries, this is not where you wanted to take it. You did not want to make this entry here. You wanted to wait to see if we got either to this point or this point, right? The only reason that I marked this on our paper trade is because I've budgeted, you know, I've been playing around with 8 or 9 entries lately. So that's how much space I'm giving myself here. But if you're doing you know, if you have only 5 steps that you're able to take, then in this entire formation, really probably at most you should have 2 entries, not these 3, and you don't want this one. You want to wait and see if it goes up higher. I mean, we're close now, so maybe up in this range you would take this as, you know, on a 4 to 5 entry model, you would have at most 2 here, and maybe your third would be in this range since we're close to the peak of this candle. But you got to be careful because, you know, your last entries are always your biggest ones, which makes your gain and loss bigger, you know. So when you get to your last entry, you need to have a very, very tight stop, because if price moves against you that last time you can enter, it's going to hurt. So if it doesn't turn, you know, if you don't catch the turn there. I don't mind this music, but it's not what I had in mind when I clicked the category called 90s rock. I was hoping for some more dark, heavy stuff, you know, along the Soundgarden, Alice in Chains style. This, I mean, yeah. So let's switch it up. Let's see. Stay in the same category. Here's another Tiger Blood Jewel song. They have been some pretty nice ones lately. Zaps, you haven't done too well in shorting lately. It's still a skill I want to learn, though. For me, or for now, I'm just going to go back to what worked for me at first. Swing longs on alts. Yeah, I mean, all of these different trading styles take time to learn, to practice, to adapt to what fits for you, because one type, you know, one style that I use or that somebody else uses, I can just about guarantee you that it ain't going to be the perfect style for you, but you may be able to learn, you know, pick something up from the way somebody else trades and apply that to your own comfort level, you know, which is basically how I've done with things I've learned from Sergio. And this style makes sense to me. It simplifies things, so it involves a little bit of pre-planning to know how many entries I'm comfortable with, you know, how many entries I can make to not exceed the level of risk that I am willing to tolerate. And thus far, I've had a really solid track record with this, you know. I've traded several times last week, and well, I didn't lose anything during the week last week. I made my only loss doing this style of scalping Sunday, and that just reinforced my previous suspicion that I shouldn't scalp on weekends. It was also on Ether, so 2 suspicions confirmed. Don't scalp Ether, and don't trade weekends. Or don't scalp like this on weekends. sometimes I'll also mark my net position on these other charts too, so it makes it easier to keep in mind. So 56,360 is the mark. Okay, so it automatically places it in the right spot. Yeah, so we'll just widen that out so we can see it across all of our charts. I thought if I copy and pasted it would be at the right coordinates, and it is. Don't like this color though, so let's swap that to, we'll make it a red since it's a short. Okay, now we can see our net position. I think I would suggest to anyone that's that is learning this type of a strategy. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of paper trading. I think you should do a bunch of that, and you should stick to. The thing is, it requires discipline. You got to be able to stick to the rules when you're paper trading, because it's you may be tempted to say, I would have made it up here. No, you wouldn't. Don't lie to yourself. Put the mark where you would have actually made the trade. And force yourself to stick to the rules. If you've decided 5 entries, then that's all you can do. Don't decide after the 5th entry that, oh man, that turn is really definitely going to come on this this next spot. That doesn't help you at all. It hurts you because it gives you a false sense of success that you really haven't earned. So when you do paper trading like this, stick exactly to what your plan is, and then once you are comfortable doing these types of paper trades, I would say start with a very small trading account on a whatever exchange you like. There's tons of options. I don't have a vested interest in any of them right now, but Bybit, Binance, Femex, there's tons of them. And pick one with reasonable fees relative to how much money you're willing to play with. Start with a very small amount and make your entry levels very, very small, and see how you do. See if you can manage a couple $100 account. I mean, depending on what your relationship to money is. If $1,000 is something that you don't mind playing with, if that's what you would walk into a casino and sit down at a blackjack table with, then make that your first account size and see how it does. If you are more comfortable playing around with $200, make that your account size and just make your entries the same ratio, that you would have done on a $1,000 account. Doesn't matter what size it is. All you really care about is percentage that you're winning over a period of time. Do that, stick to the rules, and see how your trades are going. If you're losing the majority of your trades, reevaluate. Maybe stop trading any money at all. Sit back down on paper trades like this and try to figure out why. If you're winning on paper trades and you're losing on money trades, my guess is it's an emotional problem. It's a mindset problem. It's not anything to do with the technique. And so, I would think pretty hard on that. Why do I make worse decisions when money's at stake than I do when I'm paper trading? The answer is probably because the money that's at stake is too much for you to make, emotionally disconnected, logical decisions, which is what you can do on paper trading. Most people can anyway. Because you have no emotional attachment to what's on this paper. You're just drawing shapes, right? If the money that you're playing with in your trading account causes you to stress and make emotional decisions that you don't make when you paper trade, then you got too much money in there. That money means too much to you, and you shouldn't be hate the word gambling, but I have to, you have to say it, because there's such an element of randomness to this. It would be lying to you if I said it wasn't. Yeah, I think that is a pretty good indicator that you have too much money, you're too emotionally attached to it, and this is probably not what you should be doing. So reevaluate, paper trade some more, see how you're doing. Consider starting again with a smaller amount and see how it goes. I spoke to the guys to see if I'm allowed to promote the stream on Discord. No, I mean, if you, George, have you seen my video on my YouTube channel called My Mea Culpa? If you have not, go watch that. That will explain the whole situation. Essentially, I didn't think I was doing self-promotion at the time. I really just had an inaccurate opinion of where I stood with the group in general, and part of that was because when I did the first stream I ever did in the Discord, they made a channel. It was like Bang Out the Party, and sort of people. It seemed I felt that I was endorsed when I wasn't. And part of that, well, that's entirely really my fault, because I just read more into the situation than I should have. So anyway, I did post some links to my stream, and at the time, well, I still am a moderator in that Discord. And so, I didn't realize until I was confronted about it what that looked like. Self-promotion, dragging people away from Trader's Reality, which was not my intention. So anyway, long story short, we're on fine terms. I've talked to Tino about it, and everything's good there. But no, I mean, I made a commitment to them that I would not link, and so that includes you guys. I would suggest that please don't put any kind of link to my streams in the Trader's Reality Discord. The commitment I made to Tino, Sergio, and Mike was that I would only point people towards them from here, not the other way around, and I intend to stick to that. So yeah, don't push it. I mean, if you have friends and you think they would enjoy my this Twitch channel, feel free to tell them individually, but don't please don't promote my content in Trader's Reality's spaces. And like I said, if you haven't watched that video, go watch it. It's probably still up on the Twitch channel, actually. But if it's not, I will give you a link directly to the YouTube. I should bring that up anyway and see if anybody's over there trying to chat, because I just never check the chat over there. Unfortunately. No, nobody's chatting, so that's good. If you go here, there it is. So this video will explain as best that I think I can the whole situation. I got all anal retentive and wrote out a timeline and everything. So have a look. That'll give you a good idea of what has gone, what has happened, where I made mistakes, and how what my plan is going forward. And if you saw the announcement Tino made a few days ago in the announcements channel about people basically ripping off his stuff, and, you know, essentially stealing people from his Discord to go into their stuff. That I talked to him about that specific post, and it, you know, because I was like, I saw that and I was like, oh shit, is that me? Because I thought we were, you know, square on that. And I talked to him, and it's not, he wasn't talking about me. And, you know, it was a very positive interaction. So I definitely believe at this point that I'm still in a good place with those guys. And that's what I want. I want us to all be friends. So I got 6:35 my time. At 7, I'm going to take a little bit of an extended break so I can get ready, because I got to go, like I said, I have to go in and work a little early today. But I'll leave the stream going on this scalp, and after I'm dressed and ready for work, I'll come back, see where we are, adjust as needed, and then by 8 I'll be closing down the stream. So that's 8 EST, which I think UK time would be noon, or maybe 1300, not sure. I think it may be 1300 with this last time change. I think we may be 5 hours difference. I'm actually going to delete these because that was going to get a little confusing. Those are not entries in this trade. Those were areas of interest for a long. There we go. Also like to mark a vertical line just before I start a paper trade, so, you know, because if this, no, this is not going to go on for hours today because I just don't have the time. But when I'm really trading, sometimes what starts as a short scalp goes on for quite a while, especially if I'm building 7-8 positions in one direction. So I mark that way when I come back after it's over and I want to review how I did, I have a clear starting point. Go ahead and lock that so I don't accidentally drag it and move it. This playlist is not really doing a lot for me, I'm not gonna lie. So I think we'll drop the 90s tag. We'll go hard rock and see what kind of stuff we get. This is called Power of Balance, an instrumental by a band called Dissidents. Let's turn up the volume and see how this goes. see now we have a red dot and a red diamond on Market Ciphers B and A respectively that have now printed. So it could be the case that this fourth entry is our last for this scalp. Let's just see what happens. You know, the more I talk to Josh and to Discount Goats, my head's just filling up with all these, you know, ideas for ways to, ways to try to change the game, so to speak, with, with like music, entertainment, things like that. And one of the things that I've been kicking around in my head, and you guys that are live and anybody that watches this on a replay, tell me what you think. So I've been thinking about, what if they're, like I've done, I've been lucky enough to be able to do a fair amount of traveling around the world, and I've seen in so many places, I've seen these buskers or these musicians on the street, in subway stations, playing music, singing, doing whatever, right? That are really, really good, And I can't tell you how many times I've stopped and pulled out my phone and just taken a video, for my own enjoyment, to go back and listen to it again. Now, I don't know if this has been, if anyone's tried this before, or if it maybe even exists already, but I was thinking, what about a non-profit record label, where basically the idea is you find people like that are making music on the streets, that have, serious talent, but they're kind of looked down on by general society and things like that. What if we created a nonprofit record label that found those people, allowed them to record their music, and then give them royalty, give them essentially all of the profit that comes from whether it gets downloaded or it goes into, some kind of a video or media product that people purchase or pay a membership fee for, or whatever. Maybe it could even be connected to something like Epidemic Sound, like where the music they make can become royalty-free music for streamers, as long as the streamers pay a small fee or whatever. That's how Epidemic Sound operates. And then the idea would be that the label itself doesn't operate for profit. The only money it takes out of the proceeds